Hey everyone, first recording, Sequoia Radio, test cast.
This is episode 0.
Episode 0.
Can you hear me?
We're here with Ford.
Let's see, can I hear myself? I can't hear myself.
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, but you can hear me? So it's just
Okay.
these headphones.
So we were talking about the Mike Tyson interview on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, very interesting.
Have you ever been in a room with Mike Tyson?
So, I may or may not have. I'm
Okay.
not looking to talk about it.
Got it.
But something that is true that other people have verified as well is that guys like Mike Tyson, when you meet them, they'll give, if you're like a guy or you're just somebody who looks like very physical, like you look like you have some mass behind you.
Yeah.
He'll give you like the kind of the dap handshake that like goes kind of into a hug, but then like he'll kind of with his other hand, he'll kind of like shake your body just a little bit subtly.
To let you know, like...
It's to let you know if like he might do it to let you know, but like it's like somebody who's like pickpocketing someone, you know, like how they'll shake you a little bit so that like, or they'll bump into you so that you don't feel them doing something else.
Yeah.
But he's physically like moving you around to see if he could knock you out, to see if he could take you. And a lot of fighters do this. And I'm sure that it's like an old kind of muscle memory kind of habit that like he might not even be aware that he does. Like you were telling me, I haven't seen this episode yet, but you were telling me that he basically through like a specialized form of DMT therapy that he was able to finally kind of overcome years of hypnotic suggestion that like he had never come out of. So it'd be interesting to see if like now that he like doesn't even want to watch fighting. Yeah,
he said he doesn't at all want to be involved with it, like, you know, watch it for fun, train people. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. It's actually insane. I had no idea. When he was 13, his mentor, he said, hypnotized him with another hypnotist, and they're saying, you know, you're a fighter, you're a killer, you're gonna, you know, beat everyone that you come across. They basically, this is actually really interesting and part of a bigger, broader subject of like speaking things into existence, but I think they really did. He was saying, you know, he had no idea that he could achieve all the things that they mentioned, and then he went and did that.
All of them.
Did just that.
Like just went out and did it.
Yeah.
It's like really, hypnosis is a powerful thing, and I've looked into it a bit over the years. Like I did a science project on it in like I think 6th or 7th grade or something, or it was like 6th grade. I think it was either 6th or 8th grade, because I think 7th grade I did a special like video game, like do video games help your reflexes, and it was just an excuse for me and my friends
to play more video games
in school. Like, it was very successful actually, like in all regards. But because I had people doing tests, like reaction time tests, and they were very like I was very, very, very much adhering to the scientific method and like having control groups and placebos and stuff. So I did very well in the science fair, but it was also like a lot of fun.
That's the best of both worlds.
And I think the year after that, I studied neuro-linguistic programming, because somebody had like mentioned that, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's basically like a form of like hypnosis that some charlatan con artist guy turned into like its own degree that you can go get. It's like you can get certified in this.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like hypnosis, but they've like certified it kind of like they've done more experimental stuff into it on their own. So like there's just enough science behind NLP that like to this day it's like still like it's like chiropractic. Like if you look it up on Wikipedia, I'm sure there's like a whole section about how it's like controversial and like
to go to a chiro.
Yeah, chiropractic or chiropractic or however they prefer it to be called. I think you're supposed to call it chiropractic. Like you can't call it chiropractic.
Okay.
It's like doctors are like super like do not like there's nothing behind it. These guys can injure your back if you're not
way.
careful. Yeah.
I almost went to one and then I didn't. I thought that would help.
It's like a crapshoot. You might just happen to get somebody who's just
like
really
breaks my back.
Yeah, you might. You like it's. I'm not gonna say that chiropractors don't have experience, and I'm sure they all kind of have their own like thing that they figured out that works.
Yeah.
But if you want lasting results, you need to do stretches, build up muscles in your core, on your front and your back, and like see a physical therapist.
Yeah,
like, you know, and change your habits.
I think people are conditioned, I think, to think in terms of short term. So when you think of a chiropractor, it's like, okay, I'm going in, this guy's going to crack my back and my neck and I'm going to be fine and I can go on with my life and do whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, let me go to the gym regularly, build my muscles around my lower back, do the annoying exercises regularly for all these years, and then I will not have pain in my back.
Yeah.
You know?
Rather than having those habits, you say, hey, let me just go book an appointment to handle
and be done.
that thing.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at it as like mind and body. One thing, you know, like,
and quick fixes don't actually work. It never works. It's got to be something that's part of like little choices, little decisions, I think add up to a lifestyle, which actually is the result.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
That's what I think. And so it's actually like learning how to unlearn habits that actually bad for you and relearn through routine habits, little things that are good for you. Like, you know, when you go to the gym, try that one exercise for your lower back. Like just do it once a week or something. But over time, you're going to have a strong lower back and you're not going to have pain, you know?
There's this thing that my friend taught me that's a really good stretch to do is you find a really flat wall and you put yourself as close to it as you can and you really just try to get like your whole back and neck flat against it.
You're standing up against it?
Yeah, standing up.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like you with your arms also against the wall, you stretch them like wings up and down. While you still instead I took a breath like you stretch.
I thought you were imitating like maybe a bird or an angel or something.
Yeah, because I have my hands in here. It actually kind of works. But so does like downward facing dog kind of thing or the cat stretch or whatever it is where you go from kind of cradle down and then you push through. That works. If you do that every day, just in your bedroom, like it helps.
Yeah, when you wake up or something, or before going to bed.
There's a lot of little things that help, but I mean, we were talking about quick fixes before. It's like people who get addicted to drugs like propanol or propofol or however you're supposed to say it.
What were we?
It's
propofol.
Yes, I'm gonna go with what you said. It's famous for being one of the drugs that killed Michael Jackson. And we were talking about how people who use it, they feel like they slept for 12 hours and they might have been out for like a 45-minute procedure.
It's insane.
You know, it's like it gives you. It's the same things you're telling me. It might be the thing you were talking about. You're saying that people, they take stuff in IVs to feel rested.
Yes. Yeah.
It might be that. It might be similar to like how people will do saline drips of IVs to get over a hangover very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's a quick result, but it's it's kind of just like a tricking your brain kind of thing, because anything that's delivered intravenously has a very fast effect versus something that maybe you took the same thing, but you took it orally or you digested it, so it had time to work through your body, so it didn't have that fast hitting you kind of effect. I don't know, it's interesting.
So if you sleep 45 minutes, but you have the feeling that you slept 12 hours, are you really rested?
So that's the thing. I don't know. I don't think so. And it might be one of those things where...
Sounds dangerous.
Like maybe you're just getting 45 minutes of REM kind of sleep. And maybe the people who I know who've reported this also have trouble sleeping. So I think that it might be a thing where they're getting really bad quality sleep and your body will adjust. Like I know this from personal experience that if you give yourself very short windows to sleep, your body will like take naps whenever you can. Like you'll take like a nap and then feel rested just for like passing out in front of somebody for like 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
You know, like that happens to me quite a bit. And I have a friend who really, you know, similar kind of lifestyle to you and I, like a high workload, video production, all types of stuff. And
12-hour plus days.
Yeah, 12-hour plus days, exactly. Yeah. And anytime he comes over, which is increasingly rare, where I hang out with him and he falls asleep, I can tell, like I usually let him kind of sleep for a little bit, because when he wakes up, I can tell he feels like he can go for another 12 hours.
Oh my God.
And I think that that's what happens to people with like, who they'll be medically induced into having good sleep, quote unquote, or like just to actually being out. And when they wake up, I think the euphoric effect of the drug and having like actually gotten some deep sleep where they're not like, you know, restless, kind of moving around. They don't get a lot of REM cycles. I think that because their body has become conditioned to not having a lot of sleep, they're like, oh, this is great. I gotta schedule weekly appointments to get put out for an hour, you know, which is super dangerous.
Yeah, that's how you end up then taking too much, and it's never good. But it's crazy. I think that's like, I remember hearing this researcher that like, you know, researches dreams and, you know, REM sleep, and he was actually talking about how when you drink or you smoke, you can't like actually go into real deep sleep. But he was also saying that if you don't sleep for a certain amount of days, your brain will basically force you to fall asleep to get that little bit of sleep that you actually need to survive.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you smoke, you can't sleep, like cigarettes, or?
No, smoke weed.
Really? Yeah, so when you smoke weed, you don't really sleep when you sleep?
You don't sleep at the deepest level. Interesting,
because I've heard a lot of people who, like I don't really smoke weed. Like I smoke it like
occasionally,
super occasionally, like a month or two will go by and I don't smoke.
Gotcha.
But if I'm like, I don't know, like hanging out with a lot of people who just are doing it and I'm not working, I might, you know, like if I go to Colorado, it's like everybody smokes weed.
Right.
But yeah, I generally don't, but I've heard from people who smoke a lot of weed and then they quit. Like they're just like, I'm going to take a complete break for a long time. They'll tell me that they'll notice huge differences. And one of the biggest differences a lot of my friends and just people I've talked to have reported is that their dreams come back.
Yep.
And I think that might be connected to what you're saying, that you don't really get to the deepest level of sleep.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like you know, when you had a few drinks and you feel sleepy, you're sleeping, but you don't really get that deep sleep.
Interesting. So like if you get drunk and then you fall asleep, you're not really getting the most restful sleep.
No, you're not. So that's why the whole thing of the nightcap is such a misconception. It's like,
yeah, I was just thinking that. Wow.
Yeah, it's a total misconception. Same thing with like, you know, you'll hear some people are like, oh yeah, I like to smoke a little bit before bed. Like it helps calm me down and helps me sleep. It might help calm you down for sure.
But it's not
but
helping
it's not
your quality of sleep.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the best thing really is to be completely sober. I don't know if that's fun, but it's the best thing for you.
So this kind of sounds like maybe like instead of a nightlife, there should be like a morning life. Like people go out and party in the morning.
Yeah. Have you heard about those parties that it's like silent parties where they put headphones on?
I've been to a few of those. But
How's that?
Those are normally the ones I've been to are like at festivals, like where like it'll be like a tent and it'll be like DJ supervision, DJing the silent disco. Like often people will call it the silent disco.
Yeah.
I've never been to one where like you're going to it and that's the event. It's always been I'm at a festival for some reason and that's like one of the things.
And it's like early in the morning.
Yeah, like it'll be in the daytime. Mm-hmm. It'll be the sun will be out. It'll just be like people are getting corn dogs and like you know how it is at some of these festivals. Like it'll be like not too far from like where the food and stuff is. It's not like by the main stage. It's just a thing you can go do, like the silent disco. But I always wanted to like go to one of those things where it's like where like you go to a venue and do it, and that's like the whole like it's all around it rather than like a novelty tent at a festival.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Like, I would totally support having like a day like that with my friends, where like we kind of party early, like we wake up early, drink, do whatever early, and then like by the end of the night, hopefully it's like out of our system enough, you know.
Yeah.
We can sleep.
Like a day party. There's some of those.
It's sort of similar to, you know, they say you shouldn't eat after 7 kind of thing, where they're like, you shouldn't eat late because then you stay up later, and also like your body, you won't, instead of working off like your body fat, like your body will, while you're asleep, will just
absorb it.
Try to digest it and absorb it kind of thing. Yeah. That's what they say. I don't know. I try to get Shomi on that.
Yeah.
Shomi's a funny guy because he'll say that like he's gonna do something and then like he gets way too busy and like he can't. He forgets that he's like, oh, I'm not eating after 7 now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It goes back to what we were talking about. It's like you have to build a habit, and it takes a while to like of little decisions that are annoying and that are different than what you're used to actually like have it be a habit that you don't think of. It's hard. It's really hard.
It's really not easy.
Especially again with like...
But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. I think it's totally doable. I think something that I want to really try to talk about in this podcast is like how to help share tools and tricks so that people can be happier and healthier and take their career kind of to the next level, or just craft the career that they want, you know, and blending like entrepreneurship to creativity, because even if you're not like, you know, a business person per se, if you're more on the creative side of things, you still need to be able to handle your business. You know what I mean? You need to be able to communicate things effectively, and you know, you still you send out invoices, you know?
Yeah.
And even if you do have an agent or you do have somebody representing you, you have a manager, you have somebody that's doing all the like business management stuff, you still need to know what's going on, because then you're completely vulnerable, you know, to that person, like 100%. So you're just hoping for the best. You're hoping that this person has your best interest in mind, which many people do, but some also don't, you know?
And sometimes people just think that they're doing all right, and they don't realize that you're worth more than they think they can get away with, or that not even that they don't realize that they're undervaluing you. You know?
Or it's like it doesn't really benefit them to have you, you know, be paid more.
Yeah, or they, like on paper it doesn't. It doesn't. A lot of people don't see the the ancillary benefits of people that work for them being paid better. You know, they don't see how it affects them in the long term, because sometimes it comes around, sometimes it doesn't. You know, I've been in situations where somebody did not pay me what they should have.
Right.
And then I saw that they paid somebody else more than they should have in relation to me, for how much effort I put in.
Yeah.
And then it kind of screwed up my mood for the rest of the gig.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still gave my best, but it could have easily screwed things up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And for the next so you got paid less than this person.
Yeah.
And
I basically was not in the budget, so I didn't get paid well. But then somebody who was being called in to do something that was kind of very specialized, but was ultimately not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
They got paid more than me.
Interesting.
And I think there was I guess there was just a budget for that.
So they leveraged.
I get it as a producer.
Specificity.
I get it as a producer. I really do. I get why I was not paid. But I think that it was kind of a thing where it's if I was paid, but I was not paid as much as I should have been.
Right.
And I totally prefacing this with I'm not saying anybody's names, because I worked through this.
Yeah.
That when I got home that night. But I very keenly remember for the rest of the night being very upset, and I could have easily thrown off the vibe of the whole, collaborative working group. I could have easily made a mistake. I could have walked off set, because somebody else walked off set that night.
Oh, wow.
And for something totally related, had nothing to do with pay, but I could have easily walked off set.
Yeah.
Or I could have just screwed something up, or it could have been a situation where I needed to do some follow-up work, some kind of post-production thing, or we had another part of the shoot the next day. It could have been anything like that. And me feeling like I was being undervalued because I was really going above and beyond. And
you're a hardworking guy.
When I got the check, I was I felt really oh God, you know what I mean?
So advice to people that would be listening would be ahead of time, negotiate.
Yeah, negotiate things ahead of time. Let people know ahead of time.
Once it's done, it's the reason why you're mad is because you were mad at yourself, kind of, right?
Yes,
more than anything.
if I really stepped back and peeled away the layers, I actually was mad at myself for letting that happen.
Yeah.
And it also comes down to you feel the people that you're working with, you want them to value you.
Yeah.
And we can kind of start to look at these external monetary dollar amounts as being some kind of quantifiable measurement of how much you're worth to people.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that how much I was worth to that person was that they paid me anything at all out of their own pocket when they didn't have the budget for it. It was a really low budget thing. They knew they needed me. But maybe my advice for that person would have been, on the other hand, the other foot, is that maybe in that situation, if you really need somebody and they're not in the budget, you negotiate for that person to be in the budget.
And you make it work with the budget, honestly. I've produced a bunch of projects, and you can really move things around. Like for real. You can move things around. So you're an amazing guy with like a good heart. So I could see that like you want to see the best in everyone.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like you're a creative person 100%. You're a creative person and you're like, you're like a giver, you know? So
Thank you.
yeah, so but in the business world, because this is an industry at the end of the day, this is what I'm trying to like get across to a lot of people that I communicate with that are super creative, that have so many skills, that have so much to offer, but they can't get to the next level because of that one step, that it's like that transactional talk.
Yeah.
And that's hard to have. We're not taught that, you know? And it's like, especially in our industry, it's like you work with your friends, you work with people that you like, you know, you meet someone at an event, you like them, you're actually friends. So it makes it difficult to then be like, listen, like this is my rate, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
But it's so important because if you want to grow with your career, if you want to live comfortably, I'm not like a proponent of like, you know, super lavish, you know, I'm not even advocating.
Just to have a living wage.
Yeah, to have something that like you're paid what you're worth, you know, and you're comfortable and you can keep honing your craft and you can keep growing, you know, and things don't have to be stressful because they don't have to be. I remember when I was starting out, I was stressed like for a year nonstop. I was stressed, like nonstop stressed. You wake up, you're stressed. You go to bed, you're stressed because you're thinking, how the fuck am I going to make enough to live well and like to live, you know what I mean? Because you choose a path and you do it because you're passionate about it and you love it so much, and you have this voice inside you that tells you, I want to fucking do this career. This is what I like to do. But then there's the whole business aspect behind it that's like, how do I make this, my passion, a business so that it's sustainable in the world that we live in?
Yep.
You know, like we have to pay rent, especially in New York City.
Oh
Are you kidding me?
Rent here.
Like you can't just be an artist, you know what I mean? And just like, it's, you know, it says a lot about our society, okay? But that's a totally different conversation. If you're in New York, living in the 5 boroughs, you cannot work in a vacuum as an artist, isolated, just doing your thing.
You really can't.
You have
it's
to...
no longer possible.
Impossible. It's impossible. So you have to constantly be collaborating with people, be working with others, and that entails negotiating. Negotiating. And it doesn't even, this is what I learned too, is it's not a confrontation. It's not like, it doesn't have to be a confrontation, because a lot of the times now that I'm producing, that I have my own production company, I'm on the other side of the table and I'm hiring people, right?
Yeah.
And I see it. Like I see like somebody that's calm and that knows their worth, and that just kind of is saying, you know, this is my rate, but I'm flexible. Let me know what you think. Let me know what works. I appreciate their good faith, and I appreciate them saying what their rate is. I see what works, and 9 times out of 10, I can match that, and we can just move forward. But if somebody is just like not telling me what their rate is, it makes it hard for me, because then I'm looking at just the budget, and if I can save on one end and maybe a lot more budget to like putting in for the set, or maybe like licensing, get better licensing. Like if somebody, even though I really value this one person, but if they're not asking me what they want, I can't know that.
Yeah,
and
you
I
don't
can't
know.
give it to them.
Exactly.
You know what I
don't.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's why when I'm on the other side of things and I'm working with agencies or whatever, it's like, I'm letting you know how much the service costs. Anything can be done. We can achieve anything, but these certain things have costs. So you let me know what you want to do based on that. And it's a very logical and unemotional kind of interaction.
Yeah.
I think you have to take out the emotions out of these kind of conversations, even if it is with a friend, you know?
It's true. And, you know, on the, speaking of one of the things you just said,
Yeah.
I do not speak up. You know, you were saying that if somebody does not speak up and tell you what they need, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody that you love working with,
Yeah.
you can't help them. And
Yeah, you can't know.
it's kind of like one of the many manifestations of that old saying that if you don't love, that you can't be loved until you love yourself.
Wow.
It really, it's so true, because I have a trouble really speaking up. I've done a lot of work for nothing. I've done work where I ended up having to come out of pocket for things.
Man.
Where it's like I'm paying to work for free. And a lot of that comes from me feeling like I have no place in the space of the people that I'm collaborating with, for me feeling like not valuing myself, you know?
You really, yeah, that's interesting. So you're saying that it's a self-esteem kind of thing.
It can really very often be a self-esteem thing. Some of it is, I think that maybe on the surface level, it comes down to maybe wanting to not be a problem. Like there's certain situations where I'm maybe really close friends with somebody and I don't tell them, hey, like I'm worth more than this. Like I need you to pay me more,
Right.
you know, ahead of time. And that comes out of me maybe not valuing my own contribute. Like when you get below the surface, maybe that it comes back to self-esteem, and it comes back to me not valuing my contributions as much. So maybe I don't have the confidence to ask for that. Sometimes, you know, it's not always a one size fits all. Like sometimes maybe it's like, oh, I know that they really can't afford to pay me more than they do, so I'm helping them out. Like it can be a lot of things, but I think that a lot of times when you get upset about something, it's because you care about something, and it might be that you care about the other person.
Yeah.
Or it might be also, or that you feel like you're not caring for yourself, that you're not valuing what you do.
Yeah. I think also maybe wanting to avoid conflict is a thing too. But yeah, I mean, talking about it is the first step to realizing it, and then working on it is a whole journey and a whole process that we're all on.
Yeah, we're all on that.
And I think there's some easy, not quick fixes, but there's some easy steps that you can take that if you do take them, then you kind of see right away that a positive reaction to it. And then you're like, oh shit, all right, it didn't have to be that. Like, I didn't have to like...
It didn't have to do
it didn't have to be the whole thing, exactly. Like, I didn't have to anticipate this whole big conflict or whatever. It's just a simple, easy conversation. And I think that's the art of it. It's like, how do we have these... how do you negotiate casually but firmly and still make the other person not feel attacked?
Yeah.
You know? And so in order to, and I think it brings me to another point. I think you attack, or you can come off as aggressive if you come from a place of weakness and insecurity.
So true.
But if you are like secure, then you're kind of like emanating calm and you're just like, this is the rate that I usually work at. Let me know what the budget is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you kind of play it from there. But I think there's general kind of guidelines. Like if you've been working for a year and you're really good at that one thing, the following year your rate goes up.
It really needs to.
You know,
really
like that's kind of like a basic thing. And if it's a huge project and you know that there's a budget, like you can have like a commercial rate. So if you're working on a big commercial, you know that your day rate is, let's say, $800 a day or something like that. And if it's like an independent music video for a friend, you cut that in half.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, it needs to be like regulated so that like you're not always thinking about it. That's like, oh, maybe like I'll do 300 or I'll do this much or I'll do, no, it's like kind of like
playing this guessing game.
Yeah. You know?
So true. That's so true.
And then the trick is starting off on the right foot, and then that person knows like what your rate is.
So,
you know?
Oh my God, that is the best advice ever. Yeah.
Because if I know that this person's worth this much, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna bring that person on for that project because I can afford it, you know? And if I know that I can't, then I can still reach out to them and be like, hey, this is a really small project or whatever. Are you interested in collaborating? If they are, amazing. If not, I'll reach out to someone that's maybe greener, you know? But if it is a solid project, I know what to budget in exactly for that person to get them their rate that's fair for them.
Exactly.
You know? And you'd be surprised, like, it's all in the negotiating, and it's all like very simple, easy, like it's like one sentence that changes everything. You know what I mean?
It's so true.
It's one sentence.
One sentence. You just got to speak up.
Yeah. One sentence that's non-violent communication, by the way, is huge. Instead of saying what the other person is doing wrong or what they should be doing, say, I need this. What you need. What your rate is. It's like, this is my rate.
Than like, you're not giving me enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Have it not be about them. Have it be about unemotional as can be. It's literally logic. It's like, this is my rate for a commercial project of this kind that I've done many before. By you saying I've done a bunch of these before, that's already kind of a power play, because you're letting that person know, this isn't my first rodeo, bitch. You know?
I love that saying, not my first rodeo.
It's not my first rodeo. Like, you can't come around and be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be amazing exposure. Like, you know, I don't pay my rent in exposure.
No, you can't.
I don't feed my dog with little exposures.
You can't.
You don't do that. I don't buy clothes with exposure. I don't pay the lights with exposure. Like, exposure is cool for maybe your first year that you're trying to get there. And then that's another thing too. It's like, know how to hustle the exposure. Use the exposure. The people you meet through these cool projects, definitely much respect to the person that put you on, right? And definitely it's not up to them. Like, nobody owes you shit, you know? That's another thing too. But use the exposure to then negotiate higher rates on your future gigs with other people. So you're like, I did this, this, and this. They don't need to know that it was for exposure coins.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I worked on this huge project. I did this. These were my responsibilities.
I do the opposite. I'm the worst. I'll be like, look at, this is what I did for no budget. So if you give me a budget,
no, man,
and then I don't get a great budget.
Yeah,
like,
because
I hustle backwards.
Yeah, yeah, because you're thinking about the other person.
Yeah.
You're like, this is all the value that I can add to you. And I can do all of this for you. But this is the thing. Even though people, I believe sincerely, are inherently good, if you're literally just lowering yourself in front of them and it's a business situation, it can't go any other way than they're going to be like, well, you can do all this amazing work for nothing. Great.
It can't. It really can't go another way. It's like Oprah once said that we teach people how to treat us. Yeah, I'm sure someone said it as well. Other people have said it.
Yeah.
But I always attribute it to her. Because she did say it at one point that we really do teach the people around us how to treat us. And I know people who they're like, I like that they, you know, you might say they're demanding, but it works, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you tell people like, hey, you can't take pictures around me. There might be some murmurs around it, but eventually, you know, people are going to just kind of know not to take pictures of you, and they're not going to have like any kind of feelings about it because it's already happened.
Yeah.
You know, like, and like that example is probably an example where there was poor communication about it. About like, you know, rather than saying like you can't take pictures of me. It's like what you were describing as aggressive, violent, confrontational, versus saying like I personally need to have pictures not taken. Like
I'd prefer no photos. Like thank you so much. Like I appreciate that you're trying to take photos of me, and I think it's humbling, but I'm not trying to have any photos taken of me tonight.
Exactly.
Thank you. Like, you know, there's so many ways of saying it. And it's definitely something that we're not taught. We have to kind of learn ourselves along the way. And it determines the opportunities that we get to, which is insane.
It really does.
Like, if you think about it, it's actually insane. Your success is not determined by your skills. It's not determined by how good of a person you are. It's literally determined by what you can negotiate for yourself constantly.
It's true.
It's insane, you know?
It's true.
So that's why it's so important. It's so important. And that's how you over time, through these little decisions every day, you craft a career that's unique to you, unique to your skill sets. And you mentioned it earlier too, when you're saying that, you know, somebody that put in less work than you, but they had like branded themselves as as an expert in one very specific thing. And that's what got them hired and budgeted for, because they probably negotiated that rate pretty well.
Yep.
And that was the end of that.
That was the end of that.
And it was a quick convo.
Pay somebody who does this at least this much money.
We got to have that person on set, you know? We got to have that person. So how do you make yourself that person?
It's true. And I kind of had created that monster because they told me, can you do this? We can't really pay you a lot. But I should have just asked what the amount was. Yeah. Because literally $50 more and I would have been happy.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
That's like the pithy amount of money that I was stressing out over. And then I just had to relax and move on, because at the end of the day, I really do value that relationship enough that I would have just done it for that price minus the extra $50 I wanted. I just needed to walk into there knowing what it was, rather than being like, hey, it's less than we can give you, than we normally give you. And it was so much less. Yeah. Like, it was just, you know, like...
This is why you need to have the conversations ahead of time. You have to have the conversation. It's like... That's especially in this industry. If you don't talk about rates, like, this is an insane thing that maybe somebody from like outside the industry would hear this and they're like, what the fuck? Like, how is that even a thing? You know? Yeah. But if you do not talk about the rate, it means no rate. Basically.
It really does.
That's insane, but it stresses the importance of having that conversation even more. And if you know, look at it this way, if it is your friend or if it's somebody that you have a good rapport with, then it's an easier kind of conversation. You know, it's not like this whole email that you need to think about and draft and reread and make sure that you're not offending anyone or whatever, and that you need to CC the whole fucking company. No, it's like literally a text or a call to your friend, and you're like, listen, and the key is you need to explain what you do. Explain your value, prove your value. Don't rely on the goodwill of others in a business situation, even if they're a good person.
Yeah.
Even if they're a good person, you say,
Don't leave it to chance.
Yeah, you can't. You literally, it's a quick thing of like, this is my responsibility. I'm handling this, and this. I've been doing this for this much time. I love working with you, I have, as you know, like various expenses in my life that I need to take care of. And I can't do this at this rate anymore. My new rate is this. And I hope we can really work together, And you'd be surprised, like 9 times out of 10, when you put yourself out there, when you ask things in a non-aggressive, non-violent way, but very secure and stating everything you bring to the table, they're going to respect that, And even if they say, listen, man, this time around, like, I can give you this much and it's less than you wanted, they know that that's the last time they can do that. The next time they bring you on, they're going to budget for everything that you want.
It's true. That's so true.
So
that's been my experience as well.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good advice. This is very good advice.
Thank you, man. So, thank you for jumping on this impromptu first recording Sequoia Radio podcast.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, let me rephrase that. I couldn't imagine when we started this that you would want to use this.
We're using this.
But I mean, the things that you talked about on here really encapsulate a lot of what you stated was your mission objective with this. Cool. Of, just trying to give people the tools they need. I believe in a saying, each one teach one. It's a very kind of Wu-Tang kind of way of thinking about the world. It's very 5%-ish, of just like if each one teach one, then that's it's a good blueprint for growth. And I think that this is it's a noble pursuit to try to give people the tools that they need in order to prosper.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Ford. And thank you, everyone that's listening to this very first podcast. I look forward to chatting and spending time with all of you very soon. Thank you, guys. That was dope.
That was dope.